Gerrid, how's the ankle doing first, or leg doing first off? And how frustrating was that to not get to participate, I'm sure, like you wanted to in the second half of the Tulsa game, seeing your team win a championship?
It's doing good right now, doing everything I can just to get it back healthy. And then, in the game, of course it was frustrating, championship game, but at the end of the day, I know we got a room full of running backs that's capable of taking over the game, and getting the job done. So, I can do everything I can.
Charlie Goldsmith, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, I guess I'll ask this to Josh. No opt-outs on the Bearcats for the bowl game. What does that say about the level of anticipation you guys have for this opportunity?
I think it just means everybody wants to be involved. This is a great opportunity as a team, and I just think everybody wants to be a part of it.
Justin Williams, go ahead with your question.
Gerrid, obviously, big part of this season was you kind of being the main running back, but it seems like you haven't lost the desire to do little things, whether it's, receiving, picking up blitz, blocking for Des out in front, or you've even played on punt, special teams coverage so far this season. Why was that such an important thing for you, even as the starting running back coming in this year?
Being a part of a program like this, you want to be able to do everything you can to get to where we are now, and the little things like that. Like if you notice, most of our starters play special teams, so small things like that it results in, good results, which is why we're undefeated, So just being able to do everything I can, just puts us in a good position.
Chad Brundle, go ahead.
Josh, how exciting is the opportunity to get to play against Georgia defense that's seen as one of the best in the country, and kind of get to prove yourself against a higher level of competition?
It means a lot. Just being able to have this chance in the Peach Bowl against a great team, in a great atmosphere. It's really exciting. It's exciting for this team. We've been so close the past couple of years. Just being able to be here is going to be really a dream come true. And I know we're all excited here. We're all preparing. And we're just excited to get down there and be ready for that kickoff at noon.
Charlie Goldsmith, go ahead with your question.
Gerrid, you guys have a 6'4", 215-pound quarterback. Obviously, he's been having a good season. Can you just describe how Desmond's able to, use that size and strength and arm strength so well?
Yeah, Des, great athlete. When we find ourselves in positions where we're kind of struggling, he's always there. He uses his skill. He got speed. He can throw. He helps us get out of the bonds that, kind of we struggle in sometimes. But he also brings that energy, that picks up everybody else's game as the game goes on.
Justin Williams, go ahead.
Josh, you were highly recruited coming out of high school. You could have played a lot of different places. Obviously, you chose to stay home. There's a few other guys, on this team that also could have played just about anywhere. A lot of the talk, I guess, on the outside about this game has been, Georgia, highly touted recruiting classes, 4 and 5 stars going against you guys. Is that in the back of your mind that, you could have played at that level or played at bigger schools, but you decided to play here? Are you going to be, thinking about that as you head into this game?
No, I wouldn't say that. Every guy puts on their pants the same way. We're all just X's and O's on the board. It's going to come down to Coach Fick had on it in the meeting on, Sunday. It's going to come down to preparation, toughness, and competitive spirit. And I think the team that has that is going to really show out.
Jason Stam, go ahead with your question.
Gerrid, like you guys have both said, and Des, Coach Fick, everybody's talked about, what a great opportunity this is. But, at this point in the season, it's just, I know it's been such a grind with COVID tests and just the regular grind anyway. Like, what have you done? I don't know if you can speak to any other players. What have you guys done to stay mentally physically, not only physically but also mentally sharp at this point?
You know, at the end of the day, it's all about just being disciplined and realizing what's at stake. You know, with such a good season we had going on, you know, it'd be a bummer to just see everything fall apart with people popping up with COVID tests and stuff, you know. So, you know, it all came down to just being disciplined, doing the right things outside, hanging around the right people, which we usually just around each other. So, you know, as long as we did things like that, we knew we was going to be in a good position.
Brando, go ahead.
Gerrid, you've been through a lot, 5 seasons, a couple rough years, and some years where you guys got close but couldn't get over the hump. How fun, how magical has this ride been to see, you know, a lot of those dreams that you guys have had on the board over the past couple years come true and accomplish what you guys have been able to accomplish?
Oh, man, it's been great. You know, when I first got here, things was real rough. You know, nobody really bought in. We were just here playing football. You know, Fick came, changed the whole culture around here. You know, things just been going, you know, it's what every college football player would want their career to be like, you know, just being able to win games with their brothers, you know, win championships. That's what we're doing. So it feels good.
Mark Weiser, go ahead with your question.
Hey, Josh, getting back to your recruiting, I think I saw that Georgia was one of your offers. It's listed on your bio. What do you remember about any involvement you had with them during the recruiting process?
To be honest with you, I don't remember much at all. I committed to Cincinnati pretty early, and other than that, I didn't get involved with too many other schools.
Justin Williams, go ahead.
Josh, you and Lenny have had some opportunities this year to kind of step up and just show what you're capable of. But can you tell us about Bruno and his impact on the offense, not just on the field, but I guess also as a team leader off the field and kind of behind the scenes this year?
Absolutely. I mean, Bruno is a great example of a senior leader. He's one of the play hard guys in our program, and just being able to play behind him is a great. I mean, it's awesome. It's a great opportunity to get to learn the game better, and yeah, I mean, I think he kind of took things away from Josiah DeGuara, and I mean, it's just like the ripple effect. Things just keep coming down, and it's really awesome. And there's just great, healthy competition within our position group, so it's a great learning experience.
JT Smith, go ahead with your question. You got to unmute yourself first, Cowboy.
My bad, guys. This question is for Gerrid. Don't shake your head at me, Chad. But just to piggyback off Chad's question, 5 years ago, did you see yourself being at this stage in your career in your last game?
5 years ago, how things was going in, nah, I didn't at all. But, you know, coaching changes, you know, culture changes, things like everything just changed. So, you know, we're at where we're at. You know, I'm grateful for it.
Like, how rewarding is it to be in this spot? Just looking back after 5 years.
Hard work pays off, man. That's all I can really say.
Appreciate you.
Chad Brendel, go ahead.
Josh, there's, especially throughout this year, been a lot of talk about Cincinnati being, you know, a place that produces a lot of tight ends, quality tight ends. Do you ever watch like Travis on Sundays and think like I'm part of that legacy and I've got a lot to live up to with you know, maybe the best tight end in the world, being a guy that's a Cincinnati guy too?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something to think about, especially because me and Kelsey have a similar play style. It was just a great opportunity with Josiah here. I mean, to be able to experience that. That's not something many people can say they had. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely an expectation and a standard in the tight end room, and we're just all trying to live up to it.
What's it been like interacting with Travis when he's been around? Have you been able to pick his brain any?
No, I haven't talked to him at all. I mean, I haven't met him yet.
Good time for one more question. We'll go to Chip Towers. Close us out, sir.
Yeah, to both players, if you don't mind. Everybody's talked about how things changed with Coach Fick. Fickell, if you could put your finger on one thing, I mean, what would you say that he brought that was just different and better?
Okay. I say that like the competitive spirit around here, you know, they kind of dug the will to compete out of everybody out here. When they first got here, we went through intensive training, you know, and I've never seen so many people realize that they didn't really want to be here, you know. So like doing things like that kind of got the culture put in place of who we are and what we're going to be. And now I think that's why we are who we are now.
I would say, I mean, the core principles, I mean, effort and attitude and competitive spirit and unit strength, those are things he hits on every day. And I think it comes to the senior leaders on this team. I mean, guys like Gerrid, Desmond, all those guys. I mean, they lead the way for us young guys. And I mean, it takes discipline and maturity from us to really buy in. But I think Coach Fick believing in that and instilling that in us is really what changed this program around.
James, you made a heck of a leap coming halfway across the world to a program that was struggling at the time. What has this experience kind of all been like for you? And I know you've had a great career, but seeing it kind of culminate with an AAC championship and a chance to play in the Peach Bowl against Georgia for a guy that I'm guessing didn't know a lot about the college football world when you showed up here 4 years ago.
Yeah, it's definitely fair to say that I knew pretty much not a lot about college football, but sort of from day one during the recruiting process, like Coach Mason, Coach Fick were pretty adamant that this program was going to be on the turnaround, and their goal was to change this program back to the highest of highs that it had been, and that was definitely something that I wanted to get on board with. And then just the opportunities and belief that they had in me, not only in like playing ability, but in forms of a leadership role, like being a guy that's a little bit older, just to get around the team and try push the team in the direction that we wanted to go. It was definitely something that has been very like fortunate for myself, because I've developed more so as a player and a leader than I probably have like in terms of on-field success. So just that drive from within to like create more leaders and produce on not only on the field but in the locker room as well is just it's just been a phenomenal experience.
Justin Williams, go ahead.
Michael, obviously everything with COVID this season has made things weirder than anyone could have anticipated. But you know, when you transferred to come here, the way this season has gone for you individually, but also the team and everything you guys have accomplished, did it meet your expectations? Did it exceed expectations? How do you feel collectively the whole season's gone?
Individually, I mean, the only thing I want to come in was, you know, come in and produce, show that I'm capable of helping the team. I think I've done a very good job at that. Obviously, there's room for improvement. There's always room for improvement, but I mean, that just comes with time. As far as the team, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say it exceeds my expectation. Like I said, Cincinnati was on my radar before, you know, entering the portal, and obviously they were a winning program, back-to-back level 1 seasons. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, and I knew they were right on the brink of, you know, getting a championship and, you know, a conference that produces a lot of talent and competes with the best. I mean, you see it year in and year out. So for us to come in and win a conference championship, it was for me, it was amazing. Obviously come from a team that doesn't, you know, play in a conference. So it was amazing to see that, to be a part of it. But at the same time, it wasn't anything that was just kind of over the top for me that exceeded, because like I said, I knew what this team had. I know what we were capable of doing. So for me, it was like, okay, now we're finally putting it together.
Chad Brendel, go ahead.
James, at what point in your time at Pro Kick Australia did you realize I might be pretty good at this? And have you exceeded what your expectations were with your performance here over the past 4 years?
Yeah, so I've always been gifted. Like I had a pretty good leg and was like reasonably athletic at most sports that I played back home. So I knew I had like the athleticism and the drive factor to want to be good, but it sort of didn't really come full circle till probably after that end of that 2017 season and towards into that 2018 season, like where I was probably punting and feeling the best that I had been. And then it's been a little bit different the last 2 years. We've had a very good offense, and I've had a lot more situational punts than I did the first 2 years. But yeah, at the start, and I probably didn't think that I was going to be able to like potentially go to the next level or would have the capabilities of going to the next level. But that sort of just came with like as the opportunities and the belief from the coaches. And then like you start getting a little bit of recognition, and then people are like, well, he's probably got the ability to go to the next level or make a career out of this if that's what he wanted to do. And then since then, I've probably been taking it very seriously. And that's the dream now, of course. So is to not only like have the success with the team and then potentially move into this as a career option for me.
As a follow-up, how aware are you that you haven't had a chance to run a fake yet? And last game in college, are you looking for that opportunity?
Yeah, well, to be fair, we've had many a fakes in for many weeks, and it's all about getting the look to be able to run one. And unfortunately, the one we actually ran against ECU was not called off the sideline. Joel made the check in at the huddle, and unfortunately that week didn't involve me. So I think I lucked out a little bit, but there's always fakes and things that we're looking to do. We're pretty lucky that we've got such an athletic and gifted group on the punt team. And yeah, to be able to do one in the last game would pretty be unreal, but I'm not, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Charlie Goldsmith, go ahead.
Michael, can you describe the advantage it gives you guys when you're playing with the quarterback with the size and the speed and the strength and the arm strength that Desmond Ridder has?
It's pretty easy. He makes our job 10 times easier because Des having the ability to be able to be a threat in the run game and also be a threat in the passing game. It makes our job easier. It just makes it, for us, it allows us to go out there and play freely. It allows us to go out there and not think so much because now there's a chances Des is going to make you right. And when you have that at quarterback, it makes the flow of the game much smoother. And also it just raises the overall morale and the confidence within the offensive group. I'm glad we have him on our team. Obviously, he's played a huge role in our success this year, and hopefully, he can keep it going.
Justin Williams, go ahead.
James, not to age you, but just being an older player and so far from home, what has this season been like? When was the last time you were able to go home and, being that far away from family, how have you navigated this year and all its challenges?
This year's definitely sort of been a challenge. So I haven't been home for probably 18 months now, pretty close to 2 years. But yeah, it was definitely like a bit of an eye-opening thing this year. Like, this isn't how anyone would have envisioned their senior year going, and definitely not how my parents would have envisioned it. They were hoping to get over here, see a few games, be here for senior night and all that sort of thing. But it was all put on hold due to sort of the COVID-19 pandemic. But to be fair, like, all the support that I've had from my parents, like, they understand, like, look, this is, unfortunately, we can't be there, but you've got your family there that's going to be able to support you. Like, and I'm lucky that I've made great connections with other guys on the team and their families. So I've been getting looked after quite well this year, even though that like my family can't come. I've got my extended family here at UC that's been looking after me and doing things like that. So it hasn't really been any different, but it's always nice to see your family. So there's been a lot of FaceTime and phone calls with them like each week, a few times, just to see how everything's going. And yeah, but other than that, it's been basically just back to work. We know what we're trying to achieve. So it's that's been the driving force to keep us sort of going.
Mark Weiser, go ahead with your question.
Michael, I'm curious about what you think the offense's chances are to make enough plays to win, given their defense has been playing better down the stretch, but against Florida and Alabama, they obviously were able to make explosive plays against Georgia.
I think the confidence level in the offensive group is high. I just think for us, we have to go in there and just execute. I think that's the name of the game, regardless whether you're playing someone like Georgia or you're playing a low-tier school. The name of the game is to go out there and execute. So I think if we execute our game plan and do what we're supposed to do, I think we have a good chance. And I think that will go for anybody, who plays against a team that has a really good defense, or whoever. So I think that's the main goal. I think that's the focus of the team, is just go out there and put our best foot forward and execute the plays to the best of our ability. As long as we do that and don't shoot ourselves in the foot, I think we have a pretty good chance.
Chad Brundle, go ahead.
Michael, you've been through a week preparing for Georgia at Notre Dame. Does that give you maybe a little bit of an advantage, having, studied them before and looked into how they play and what they're capable of?
Yeah. So this will be my third time playing these guys. I played them my freshman year at Notre Dame, and then last year I got to prepare, but I was out injured. That was a game before I came back. So third time seeing these guys. A lot of familiar faces, but I wouldn't necessarily say it gives me an advantage. I just know, the looks. I just know the players. I just know kind of their techniques and, things of that nature. But they do their study just like we do ours. Players change year in and year out, game in, game out. So, I mean, it doesn't necessarily give me an advantage because you never know what you're going to get.
Justin Williams, go ahead.
James, Cole better than most people. We talked to him after the title game, and even after that big kick, he was pretty steely and reserved. What is he like normally, and what was he like, maybe not with the media in the moment after that kick went through?
Yeah, he's probably definitely not as steely like just around the boys or with the specialist group as he probably can be with the media. He's pretty reserved when he talks to people about his accolades or his success. And I don't know, I'm sure he probably told you, before he lined up for the kick, I just said a couple of words to him just to get him in the right mindset, and I knew he was going to knock it home from the get-go. He's one of those people that's just, with some of the adversities and things that he's gone through since he's been here, has just risen and risen and risen, and I've got full faith that he's able to do whatever is put in front of him. And it's just I was happy for the win, but it's pretty happy to see one of your best mates just knock one through, and that's the game winner, and that's how you win a conference championship. That's something I'm going to remember for the rest of my life, sort of thing.
What did you say to him? He didn't tell us.
So we were lining up for the kick, and I just went and whispered in his ear. I said, "We're built for this. Cincinnati Bearcats, we're built different." So, and then he just went back and slotted her straight through the middle. So I'll take as much credit for it as I can.
Chad Brundle, go ahead.
James, take me back to Higher Ground 2019. Pat McAfee shows up, and it seemed like it was, they were doing their video stuff and having some fun with it. But how important was it? He spent an hour with you guys, and I know he's somebody you look up to, having the career that he's had after football. But take me through that time he spent with you guys and what it meant to have a guy that, an all-pro NFL guy, spend that much time with you.
It was definitely something that I've cherished and remembered a lot of the things I just spoke about with him. So it's not very often that you get to speak to a Pro Bowl NFL player, especially one that's a punter and in your niche position. So I made pretty certain that I was going to pick his brain on whatever I wanted to talk to him about in regard to punting. So I asked him a bunch of questions, and he was more than happy to answer and sort of help me out and give me a few pointers about some certain things about punting and how I need to do and what I need to improve if my aspirations are to play at the next level. And that's sort of you can't stress how important that sort of thing is. And just to have someone that is a Pro Bowl punter look at you and think that you're pretty good is always a nice thing too.
Have you been able to keep in touch with him at all since then, or was that pretty much it for now?
There's been a couple of messages exchanged back and forth just on Twitter here and there, and after the first game we played against UCLA, of course. But he's a busy man, does a lot of commentating and things these days. But it's also lucky that we've got so many Pro Kick Australia guys that are in the NFL as well that are playing really well. So if I ever need some help or advice, I'll just message one of them, and they're more than happy to get back to me.